Well, welcome to the MPG podcast, June 29th. It's a Tuesday. I am in Dallas. Jordan Missig is joining us on Country Club and the headquarters of the Missig Performance Group. How's it going, Jordan?
Going very well, John. Yes, happy to be back home after a 2 week kind of vacation, I guess you could say. 2 week trip up to Road America for the NTT IndyCar Series weekend up there, and then head over to Mid Ohio SportsCar Course for my third round of the FR America's Championship Series out there. So happy to be back home and be back for a couple weeks and celebrating one, my dad's birthday, which is going to be happening tomorrow, and two, 4th of July, that's happening this weekend.
Outstanding. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be good. So, yeah, coming off some big weekends there. Road America, you are a little coaching up there?
Yeah, no, I was doing a little coaching with out there in their Radical Sports Car Club program, coaching two drivers, young drivers, Alex Morton, who is around 19 years old, who raced Formula 4 last year and then went into the Radicals this year, is the one who actually purchased my car, my 1500,
Oh,
this year. So he's racing that car. And young Christian Weir, getting some track experience out there. He was both doing the USF 2000 and doing the Radical Series up there. And just recently today announced that he's motorsports to do the rest of the USF 2000 season. So congratulations to him and wish him the best of luck as he heads out to his first race out in Mid Ohio this weekend.
yeah, pretty cool. That's outstanding. And so, yeah, had pretty good success up there with those drivers, and then some pretty good success with yourself, right? As you head out there to Mid Ohio, right?
Yeah, we were at Mid Ohio last weekend, racing third round of the FR America's Championship. So rounds 7 through 9 was about the halfway point of our season. Well, I was trying to get qualifying because the part with Mid Ohio is it's such a flowy technical racetrack. It's technically classified as a driver's track. You know, you need to understand the flow of the track and you need to basically hit your marks at that track, because if you mess up one corner, you're messing up the next two or three because they come so quickly and they're so single car lined based. What I mean by that is there's only like one groove to really take all these corners. So you really need to hit your marks on that circuit. And with that being said, it's so hard to pass. There's maybe two really distinctive passing zones, three if you're lucky enough, and that could be in the inside of the carousel if you're able to get a nose in there. Maybe to look in the inside of turn one if you by chance are able to go side by side if you get a good run on a 13. Your next passing zone's up into the keyhole, which is turn number 2 on the inside, or getting the long draft down the long straightaway going into turn 4, which is where you'll see the start finish line for the IndyCar was when they start their races this weekend.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So you do so standard stuff. You hit in there. How did practice? Because you get any rain? Because it was a little rainy, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So we had a ton of practice, a lot of testing on our hands. So we got quite a bit of track time leading up to our first practice session, which by then everyone was kind of very similar to each other. I want to say within like the whole field, the top 8 or 9 were all within at least a second of each other, easy. Which in that track is very hard to do because it's so flowy and you need to hit every corner right, like I was mentioning before. So everybody was so close. I was maybe about half second to 6/10 off of what the leader was doing. So I was laying down in the 6th position. And then we get to qualifying to find out where we're going to start. And the weirdest thing happens to where we are on the grid, going to be starting on slicks. Rain is in the area. And as we pull onto the grid and go on track, it starts to downpour. And we're on slick tires. So the first
Wow.
lap is basically just putzing around, make it back to pit lane because the track's already gone by this time. We're not even trying to get our tires warmed up. We're just trying to keep the car on the track. And then you have some cars that are going into some of these corners, barreling in, and they're spinning out of control, getting themselves stuck in the grass, and they can't get out of because there's no tread on their tires. So they're just spinning their wheels. And it's just, get back to pit road, get back in your pit stall, and get yourself a set of rain tires, maybe change the setup a little bit to compensate for the wet conditions, and then head back out there for a lap. And with us, we got back out, got to start, and then a red flag happened because one of the other drivers track a little bit and had to get himself situated, get back going. And he unfortunately came to a rest right in the middle of the racing line, so we had to kind of red flag the session for that. And after that, we ran and got rained out, so no one really ever completed a lap. So we had to go based off of practice one speeds. So I was the sixth fastest, so I had to start my race off at P6 for the first race of the weekend.
Have you ever been in that situation before where there was no qualifying and you had to go off of practice lap times?
I would say yeah, we did. Homestead Miami Speedway last year, our qualifying session got rained out because right before we were going to go off for qualifying, a huge monsoon of rain just came in and basically just washed the track out. And when you're driving a Formula car, you really can't drive in the. I mean, yes, we drive in the tires and everything like that, but once you get to a certain point of rain, it almost becomes it becomes a safety issue because then you're just hydroplaning a lot on top of the track. You're not able to get the grip levels that you're looking for, and you're putting not only yourself, the car, and everybody else in harm's way of potentially getting hurt. So it's best just for the series at that point, for the sake of them, just to call it and say, you know what, we're not able to have qualifying, we're going to cancel it, go off of practice results, or if no practice has been taken, then they go off of championship points, which for us, we actually probably would have been P3 or P5.
Okay. So when you go back out for the race, is it dry at this point now, or are you back on slicks?
So practice and qualifying were on the same day, and then when we got to our first race, it was bright sunny and everything was dry. So we used our qualifying set of tires, which were still a fresh new brand new set of slicks tires. So we basically got two for the three races that we were going to be a part of, which honestly it's never happened, not really happened to us. It's rarely happened, but our advantage now when we come into these races. And the races were also shortened too due to the condensed schedule and our late addition to the calendar, because we were supposed to be up at Trois-Rivières, Canada for this round of the championship, but since we couldn't go up to Canada because the borders are closed, they then tried to squeeze us in out at Mid Ohio for this event, which graciously enough to SVRA to be able to fit us into this tightly neat schedule so we could get our third round of the championship in. So we were going from a 35-minute condensed race down to a 25-minute race. So 10 less minutes, and especially at a track that's already hard enough to pass, means you had to get your moves done quickly, early, and aggressively.
How long is the track? How many miles is it?
It's like, what, 2.1, I think, 2.2?
Oh, so yeah, so it's not very big.
No, it's not big. And, sometimes I get this track actually mixed up with Audubon North because the track configuration kind of looks the same. The only thing that would be different is if you would take turn one and make it more of a 90-degree turn, and then you go up by the keyhole and just have it loop around and then connect it back with turn two. You would think that looking at a track map, the courses are almost identically the same. And it's just that's the way how the course played out. So you kind of compare. The best thing to do is kind of compare the two tracks. So it was very flowy to my liking, but it also has a lot more elevation change than what Audubon does here. For those of you who just want to look at it, you could pull up a picture on Google or anything like that. It's a very similar track. When you look at it track map wise, the configuration is fairly similar. The only thing that's really missing is just a huge elevation change that Mid Ohio has to offer, which really upsets a car tremendously.
Wow. Yeah, it looks like an interesting track. I have it right here. It's the main circuit is 2.25 miles. How does that all play out?
So I think we started fifth because another driver in front of us had a 3-place grid penalty due to an event happening at Road America the previous round before. So I got promoted up a spot to P5, and then right off the start was able to jump up to the third position, and then lost it down the back straightaway going into turn 4 to my teammate that was going to be with us this weekend, Jacob Abel, who's with Abel Motorsports out of Kentucky. They joined the forces with us this weekend. So we were running side by side going into 4, and then eventually, as the race prolonged, I had a car spin right in front of me, and I narrowly had to miss it just in order to get by it to promote myself up to P3, and that was a bit of a hairy moment as well as that was part of racing throughout the course of the event. So was very lucky enough to get through unscathed, and I have a mark on the car, but for sure thought something was going to happen as that whole event was transpiring.
All right. Well, we got a video here. Let me bring that open here.
Yeah, this is the incident that I was talking about where I was nearly missing a car spinning right in front of.
Jeez, that was close.
Yes, just got unscathed, and got through the whole incident. So, from there, it was just, in your helmet, you're just like, oh, just barely having like a huge moment, just like adrenaline just pumps through your head, and you're just like, oh, we barely got through that one unscathed. So that was nice. And then we had a 4-course yellow after that. You can see it one more time.
One more time, so we're prepared for it now. It startled me the first time I saw it too, because you can't even hardly see anything, and it just happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, too, the way it all played out with him being in the throttle still, creating a bunch of tire smoke, you don't know where the car is going to end up. You don't know if it stops stationary or if it's continuing to roll back. So it's kind of just hold your breath and hope you make it through at that point. So,
wow.
You just got to do what I can.
Yeah, so that was the first race, which turned out.
Yeah, still able to turn out to get a podium in that race. So we had a 4-course yellow after that, and then I was able to pull away and get a podium, 3rd-place finish in that race. So that was very fortunate for us. A good way to get back into a championship fight as well, with the championship leader also having a problem midway through the race as well. So that was good for us. Good points day for us in that first race, and then we moved on to race 2, which I was going to be mired back a little bit further in the field, starting in the 7th spot, and then had to try to work my way forward from there. Unfortunately, from the start, I kind of got bottled up a little bit with some other drivers having a huge fight up at the keyhole, and then another driver got to my inside, almost forced me off the racetrack, but I had to get back out of the throttle. Otherwise, I probably would have ended up on the outside of the racetrack. So lost a couple of spots there due to the momentum that I had being lost, and then kind of just had to try to work my way back up through the field at a track that's very hard to pass. You'll hear that a lot from me, obviously, throughout the course of the episode. And I had another driver spin in front of me in turn 11, which is a very high-speed portion of the racetrack. It's one groove lane, so you really can't go anywhere else, and I was already kind of committed to my line. I tried to hit the brakes, go to the inside, found out that was going to work, just try to hit the brakes and get the car stopped quick enough to maybe just park it right in front and hopefully not hit the guy. But then I realized, I'm coming in with enough momentum that I'm probably going to run into him. So then the last-ditch effort was just release the brake, go off to the right-hand side of the track, go into the grass, and try to avoid it. And at the very last second, I would have made it through, but my left rear just must have hit his left rear, and it popped my tire up and pulled the axle out of the gearbox. So unfortunately, that was going to be my second race. That's how it ended, but the guys at Newman Walks Racing and Able Motorsports did a heck of a job of getting the car fixed up and ready to go for race 3 later in the end of the day.
Yeah, so how's that? I mean, do you get thrown in the air when this happens, when they rip the axle out of the gearbox? It sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does, honestly. But no, what happened was it just kind of pops the left rear up, and it kind of just feels like you get hit from behind and turned. So it didn't literally pop the car into the air, but it just, you kind of got a little bunny hop, I would say. But you could just feel it with the left rear get popped up into the air, and then it came back to the ground.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So one podium, one incident there. Did not finish. And then we go into the third race.
Yeah, the third race was a thriller for me. Starting in P11, had to try to fight my way through the field as much as I can to limit damage in terms of points for the championship. So
how's that? Let me stop you there just for a quick second. So how does that starting position, is that off your lap time for the previous race, or how do they do that? Okay.
Yeah, it's off the lap time from the previous race. And unfortunate for me, I was probably going to be starting in the 6th or 7th position, but because of the yellow and everybody got to cool their tires down, everybody after the yellow flag started running their fastest laps of the race. And me, fortunately, being out of the race, didn't have the opportunity to do it. Sure. So I kind of had to deal with what I was held. So, but the start of race 3, really good start by me. I was able to gain maybe 1 or 2 spots right out from the get-go, and then We had another yellow happen throughout the course of the race, and then on the restart, the guy in front of me went off track, so I gained another spot there right off the restart. After that, a bunch of other guys were just having some problems here and there. Two guys threw it off the track. One other guy had a little bit of a mechanical issue with his car, and then some other guys were just spinning in front of me. So as people were making mistakes and I was kind of making moves up through the field, I was slowly but surely making my way up towards the front, and eventually went from P11 up to P6, then P5, then P4, and then by the end of the race made it up to P3 to get my second podium of the weekend.
Yeah, fantastic run there. That had to feel good. I mean, being able to pass that many cars and get in that position, that's no joke of driving, especially on a track that you say, it's so difficult to pass and so difficult to find areas where you can get around somebody else. It's pretty impressive, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, and it's all just about making mistakes, filling the guys behind you with their mirror, and the guys at Newman Walks put a heck of a car together in for the last race. The car felt really, really well, really good. I think we were probably the fastest car on the track for most of the race. We were putting in the quickest times consistently, so I felt like my car was the best handling and best performing car on the racetrack, and it truly showed in terms of the speed, the way we were able to make some moves, place the car anywhere we wanted to, and carve our way up through the field. And lacking like some mistakes that drivers were doing, but the main thing was keeping the pressure on, keeping my car in their mirrors so that way they're looking for me, making sure they're able to see me, and then I'm able to put the pressure on and try to force them into a mistake of their own.
All right. Okay. Well, so when's the next race?
The next race for me will be middle of July. I want to say July 16th through the 18th out at Brainerd International Raceway. That's a track up in Minnesota. So the first time I get to go visit Brainerd International Raceway. Never been there before, so it's going to be interesting to see how the FR cars handle at a track like Brainerd.
Oh, outstanding! Is that so? To prepare for that, is that available on the sim to run that course on the simulator?
I don't know. It's not available on iRacing to my knowledge, so I'm gonna have to probably venture out, do some R Factor 2 or something. Looking for this racetrack out there because, I've never seen it on any other sim, so I'm gonna have to venture out onto different sims to go see if they're on there. But definitely gonna be doing lots of sim time, getting myself prepared for this next race of the FR America's Championship season.
Outstanding. All right, Jordan. Thanks so much for being with us again. Give a shout out to your sponsors.
Yes, for sure. Audubon Country Club, as always, being able to support me through the rest of my career and everything that they've done so far. I couldn't have done it without them getting to this point in the career, and I hope they're going to be sticking around with us as long as they possibly can as we move on to bigger and better things in my career. As well as you need to go follow my social media platforms. You should have followed. If you didn't follow Mid Ohio, you guys missed a lot because there were quite a bit of things on my story, on my Instagram story especially, that was some cool shots, cool events that happened, and 3, there was one particular wreck avoidance that was very nail biting. That if you saw my story, it was probably hair raising to you. So please go follow that so you don't miss any of the upcoming events or any upcoming action that's happening the rest of the season with me in FR Americas or in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Series.
Outstanding. All right, Jordan, thanks again for being on the podcast, and we will talk to you next time.
Sounds good, John. We'll talk to you later, my man.